Hey adventurers, today we are doing a wrap-up for the month of May. This should be a fairly short video because we haven't read very many books.
So the first book on both of our lists actually is The Count of Monte Cristo. We both completed the audiobook of that, although I'm still struggling to put together what I listened to 54 hours of, but yeah.
Yeah, technically this is the most recent one that I finished, but because we both read it, we just figured we'd throw it out right here, get it done right here.
The other book I finished in this month is the Dosati Experiment, which is the second book in the Contingency trilogy by Frank Herbert. This one I had a lot of mixed feelings about. It was a book that I didn't love. I really loved The Whipping Star. I thought it was really, really cool. And this one, it took me until like the last 5 chapters to become actually interested in what was going on. The very beginning was kind of interesting, and then the end was interesting, but there was a whole lot of middle section that I was just waiting for stuff to happen. So, I struggled a little bit getting through this one. It took me a long time because I wasn't invested in the story, but yeah, it's the Dosati Experiment. Didn't love it.
So the next book that I finished or rather the first book that I finished in May was Calculated by Nova McBee. I listened to this one on audiobook and there was some really, really great things about it. The premise of it was really interesting, but overall it wasn't like one of my favoriteest books I've ever read. It was pretty good, and there was some really cool and enjoyable things about it, but there's also some things that I thought the execution could have done and should have been done better.
So the other book I finished in the month of May is The Fountains of Silence by Erudite. This is a historical fiction that takes place in Madrid, Spain in 1957, which is under Francisco Franco's dictatorship. So it's a really interesting perspective. We're following an American and while he's living in Madrid, and also some Spanish people, so it's really interesting learning about history in that way. I have some mixed thoughts about this book. It wasn't my favorite of Erudite, but I did learn a lot history-wise. It was interesting history-wise.
So the last one that I started, I don't even think I started it in May, but I read most of it in May and I haven't finished it yet, is A Time to Die by Nadine Brandes. I can't really say a lot about this one. Again, the premise of this is super interesting, but I don't really have a whole lot to say about it at this moment because I haven't finished it yet. I've got 2 days left in this month and that I end only like 150 pages. So I may actually get this one finished or get really close to finishing it by the time the month is over. But we'll see. I will give an update if I do.
So the next book that I've read, and I think I'll finish it before the month's out, we're filming this 2 days before the month's over and I'm fairly certain I'll finish it, is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. And I watched the film before I read the book. I really, really liked the film. It was a great film. It's directed by Steven Spielberg. I loved the film. I really loved it, and that made me want to read the book. And I'm reading the book. I'm almost finished. I just have a very small section left. I actually started reading the hard copy and I couldn't get through it. Something about it really turned me off. So I switched to audiobook because I knew I liked the story from the movie. And the book is different from the movie. Steven Spielberg took a lot of creative liberties with that, and I actually think that I might like the movie better than the book, which is going to be one of those weird exceptions. And the reason is because there's 2 areas that I'm seeing lacking or that I'm not enjoying, and that's themes and characters, which are the 2 most important areas for me. So the world building is incredible. The whole aspect of the Oasis is really, really interesting. And the plot is driven for the most part. And there is some writing style stuff that does throw me off, but because it's an audiobook, I'm able to get through it. That's actually why I switched to audiobook, because the writing style was bothering me. Character-wise, I feel like there's some inconsistencies, and that annoys me. And also, we're following characters who are being very heroized, who are very, very imperfect people. And I like following imperfect characters. I like following characters who aren't necessarily, some of them I wouldn't even say are good people, but it's a result of the background that they're coming from. And that's really interesting to me. So there's some, it's well put together and the characters are coming from the right place. There are some decisions within the story, like the main character, I don't feel like all the decisions are consistent with his personality. And then themes, I don't know what they are. I don't think they're there except do right, which is awfully vague in a world where there's no morals. So yeah, it's just like, wow, good for you, you're gonna do something right, which is possibly right. Yeah, so people don't have to pay money to go into the Oasis, essentially. You gotta keep your virtual world free. That's the moral of the story. Sorry, we can cut that out.
Yeah, we'll leave it.
I'm excited to see if something will change in the last, I don't know, like 10th of the book I have left, to see if they can pull out a good old theme there to really bring the story around and redeem it my expectations. But as of now, I like the film better than the book. Partly, another reason for that is because it's very visual. I mean, it's talking about virtual reality and it's immersing you in this world, and that's an incredible premise for a film especially. And I think the book did that well, but the film was just really fun.
That's all we have for this wrap-up. It's pretty small in terms of reading month, but I mean, we did read a 1,500 page book or something like that. I don't even know how big the official book is. That book being The Count of Monte Cristo. So I'm not mad at how much we've read, or at least not mad at how little I've read in terms of number of books, but it is nice to get through a significant amount of books. So anyways, that's it for the wrap-up. We hope you enjoyed. We have all our social medias linked down in the description box down below. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys read in May. We will see you guys again soon. Thanks for watching. Stay warm.